Thank you. I think we had quite a few errors in there. Sorry about that. But this isn't about me. This is about what we're doing in Southern Colorado, what I want to do in Southern Colorado. Just hit that for the slides. The space bar. All right. Up on the screen here, 2 cities. Any idea whose cities these are? The one on the left, Trinidad. The one on the right, Bentonville, Arkansas. Bentonville, Arkansas, not much different than Trinidad, Colorado, with the exception of Sam Walton and John Tyson, just 19 miles up the road. A little bit of disparity today, but the reality is 2 small communities, both in rural communities in their state. This picture here is Fountain, Colorado. This is where I went to high school. Actually was raised in Whitefield and then 30 miles south of Colorado Springs, down by Penrose. And what I became as a young man was a flooring layer. I could lay this stage and do it well by the time I was 10, 11 years old. And what I realized is I was in the flooring business for a large part of my life because that's what I was exposed to. That's what was known to me and my family. Mom and Dad were both teachers and my uncle was in the flooring business. And that's what I did. From the flooring business, I realized that I could make a living, I could raise a family and do okay, but that wasn't getting ahead. And that wasn't an industry that I could see myself becoming wealthy in or really stable. So I moved on, and you heard some of those companies that I invested in and bought, trying to find my way into a future that was financially beneficial. I didn't have a mentor that showed me what you should get into and what you shouldn't get into. Went through the construction trades, wonderful life there. Really enjoyed working with my hands. But in 2008, my brother called me work for a company called Lockheed Martin and ended up being the vice president of a small aerospace company in California called Braxton. I bought that company and moved them to Colorado Springs. What I realized from 2008 to 2015 is that not all things are created equal, and small companies and large companies aren't necessarily on the even playing field. We were infighting in Colorado Springs. Our mayor, our city council weren't seeing eye to eye. We couldn't get construction going. We couldn't get anything going. This is my community give back. What I did was invested in downtown eastern Colorado Springs, where there was 500,000 feet of vacancy, a very blighted area. Really the only ones that lived there were the transients and some homeless. When we bought this campus, it started with 3 buildings, about 100,000 feet, 80,000 feet vacant. What I did was put small companies together, working together to create a bigger, valuable, more valuable piece of a system. What I didn't realize is soon after several of my friends came and joined me in this campus is that the government took enough interest that they moved in. Today we have 5 divisions of the government in this campus. We've now grown to 200,000 feet. We no longer can buy property on the east side. It's just not for sale. We've bought everything we could. We've gone as far as we can. And what you see now around this campus, and it's not in this picture, is there's 1,000 apartment units being built. So the cranes that you see downtown today are all on the east side. That isn't where the cool kids are. That isn't where you see the big money being fluxed. In fact, the governor is headed up to Colorado Springs to go to our museum, which is on the west side of downtown. But what we do have here is an engine. This engine created 1,200 jobs in the first 4 years. So we opened our doors in 2015, and by 2019, we had created that 1,200 jobs, opened up an accelerator, and was able to get our small companies 123 contracts worth about $134 million. In the last 2 years, that number has grown to $600 million. So we were paid by the government, by the Air Force Research Laboratory, $3.5 million to put these accelerators on and create these jobs and the economic value of that accelerator. Today, we want to talk about an opportunity that came our direction. Catalyst Campus is operated all by nonprofit. We have 5 nonprofits on the campus: Small Business Development Center, PTAC, and SCORE, all nonprofits that were previous to us. CTRAC and CCTI, we stood up to benefit the labs and the environments for the federal government. They are a great partner. If you look at our defense budget today, it's $703 million. Over $100 billion of that is research and development. That's what this campus is. Aha, we have nothing up there. That's what it is. This program is called the Build Back Better program that we want to try to bring to Southern Colorado and Western Colorado. It's the first time that we've been able to, as a community, pick up federal dollars for economic incentives. For us, this is about bringing it to the rural community, and that looks like accelerators and labs. That looks like workforce. And starting with Trinidad as the brick and mortar location for Southern Colorado. What we see is taking the students that are in the colleges and giving them the last mile of education, what's relevant to industry. Right? So we see the same physics, we see the same engineering. I see you have a cyber program up here earlier. That cyber education, from the day that it was written, became obsolete. There's new threats, there's new changes. Our job would be make sure that that education meets at the very latest day 0 and advances that education so that the kids are employable. The great thing about what we're trying to do here is leave them in the community and build companies in the communities where we find them. So this isn't about exporting jobs or starting companies on the Front Range. It's about working with Southern Colorado and creating the jobs here. We'll do that through an accelerator. Here's the best part. The federal government is the best partner you can imagine. They set aside 23% of their contracts for small businesses. And because of Southern Colorado being what they call a hub zone, you're allowed a 10% advantage on pricing for contracts. It's new, some new rules that have come out. But the reality is, why I don't believe that Southern or Western Colorado is involved is from exposure. It's the same reason I got in the flooring business. I know what I know, and I knew flooring. I don't believe that the defense business has been exposed down here, and the folks down here can take advantages of those types of jobs that we see. That accelerator will allow us to do that, allow us to create contracts that they can get to small companies. The second part is to create companies. Through an accelerator. It's a 2-year program where we'll take a company. They could be college students. They could be citizens that have IT backgrounds. There's a lot of peripheral companies that are born around the space and aerospace business that we can pull from. It takes everything to make the ball go around. So accelerator, incubator, workforce development, higher education, upskill and reskill, relationships with industry, labs, facilities. All of that exists in the Springs. We're going to try to export it, as much of that as we can to Southern Colorado to help the universities down here and the communities down here. This program is up to $75 million over 5 years. So if you think about that, it's pretty material. We anticipate that Trinidad State will be a coalition member of a major part of that. And so the money will be in the millions that we would look to bring here for infrastructure and reach out into the rural areas. Here's a few of our partners in this coalition that we're putting together. There's only going to be 25 to 30 awards in the nation. We think that we will be one of those because it is about supercharging a cluster that's inherent in your region. We declared our region to be the state of Colorado. We think about the 33,000 jobs that we have in the state that are direct employment of aerospace. we can bring those down here. One of the requirements is somebody has to hire them. Somebody has to partner with them. Somebody has to further what you've done here, and we have that on the right side. We have some of the largest space and aerospace employers in the nation in Colorado. The great thing about the engineering world where we come from, whether it's cyber or learning coding or running accounting, in our industry, you can be remote. It was pre-COVID, it could be remote. Now it's really established to be remote. So the good thing is we're not trying to change the mold or break the mold. We're just trying to use the mold and get rural Colorado, especially the southern part, exposed to this opportunity. We'll use Catalyst Campus as a hub and a node down here in Trinidad to benefit. What I would tell you is if you can find folks, if you can find citizens or small companies that want to get engaged in our program, we will help them. We will help them further their companies and their careers. This is my shot at economic development and what I care to do. There are other clusters, there are other industries, there are other opportunities that I think you guys can come up with besides space and aerospace. I believe it's a great industry. They're great paying jobs. They're very stable jobs. The industry will continue to grow, in my belief, for the next 20 years. So we don't see a lot of ups and downs in the industry, but those that are educated can have definitely spin off and go into tech firms or other types of arenas. With that being said, our phase 1 application goes in Monday. If we're awarded that, they'll pay us money to study for the next 6 months for the phase 2. We believe we'll be successful. Actually, the governor has something to say about it to some extent on supporting us and our cluster. But we should be back down here shortly talking about what we can build here. Understand that Trinidad State just received some dollars, and hopefully we can enhance those and benefit what you've already awarded. So with that, thank you.